let's jump right into it on the reasons why Meet Kevin is wrong about how to get started in multifamily. I'm curious if Meet Kevin is his actual name. Maybe he got it legally changed, but you'll want to definitely stay tuned until the very end to hear these. That way you don't get yourself into a bad deal and end up losing everything. And if you're not familiar with Meet Kevin, he's got his YouTube channel. He does quite a bit in finance space, started as a real estate agent, started doing some investing. And how I ended up coming across him is he was taking quite a bit of shots at GC, Grant Cardone, and that's how he was able to quickly build his channel. I know they went back and forth. Pretty sure Grant ended up suing him. Not sure if it entirely went through. But let's go ahead and jump into some of the bad advice that he has when it comes to getting started in multifamily. He does have some good advice too, so I'm just not gonna lean all into it and make this all doom and gloom. Now, this one is the most important, and I'm surprised that it was overlooked and not mentioned, which is determining what is a good deal versus a bad deal, because it really starts there and what you can actually offer on a property. And this is a common mistake investors do make, is they don't run the numbers by using, there's tons of calculators that are out there of what they actually do make, and they buy the property and they're actually losing money because they don't take into consideration the repairs and maintenance that may come up, all of the capital expenditures, the vacancies. And these are just some metrics that you want to have in mind. Is what's your cash on cash return, what's your annualized return, and then just assessing is the risk versus reward there. So if you're buying a property and it's going to take 2 years for you to complete it, and you're putting it into a rental, and you only earn a 10% return overall on your money, is that actually worth the risk? So that's where you want to start. Now, this one was a big no-no, especially when I first heard it, is that on smaller deals, you can put less down. That is true, but with debt, it is a double-edged sword, because if you only put 5% down, as an example, is you now have a higher debt payment. And just learning from others' mistakes, that's where they ended up getting in trouble once a downturn did happen, because they didn't have enough income likely coming in to be able to service that debt, so they had to give the properties back to the actual banks. So that's just one thing you do want to consider, is that yes, on the smaller units, is you are able to put less down, but at the same time there's more risk with that, versus on the commercial side is the lender wants you to put more down, anywhere between, I would say, 30 to 40% you have to put down as a down payment, and they'll finance the rest just due to those risks. Now, this point was debatable. It can go either way, but he was strongly on the side of that you get the best rates on residential. That's not the case. And it really just varies upon the lender and you as the individual investor, because lenders actually prefer to lend on commercial, which anything over 5 units is considered commercial, and anything under that is considered residential. And from a lender's perspective, is there's actually less risk because there's multiple units. However, for you as the investor, is getting started with the residential may play into your actual favor. And he also stated that you're able to get longer, better terms overall, being, let's say, a amortization rate. So over your loan payments of 30 years, you can still get that on commercial too. So as I mentioned, it can go either way. It really just varies, and both sides have their pros and cons. And this was a valid point on the side of negotiations and understanding the seller's motivation and assessing who has the leverage. Because I see many investors just negotiate with someone who really doesn't even want to sell their property, or they're not motivated enough to sell the property. And in that situation, it's likely that you'll end up overpaying, or you'll try and figure out a way to creatively finance that deal through seller financing when it's just a bad deal. And that's a common mistake I see investors make. And they'll ask me, the question is that, hey, this is the price where the seller is at. how can I creatively finance or put the terms together in order to make it work? And I say, well, it's just a bad deal overall, and the seller's expectations, what they want from the property, that's understandable because they're not motivated to actually come down on price to where it actually makes sense for you. And this last point, which is also important, which I have to agree with, is lining everything up and having your team in place, such as if you're going to buy a property, is you already have your inspector in mind, you already have your title company. If you aren't using your own money to finance the deal and you need to get investors, is you want to have that lined up versus trying to do everything last minute. And let's say you're going to raise money and now you're going to people saying, hey, I got this deal, is now they can sense that, not eagerness, but the desperation from your side, and it's likely that they won't invest with you in that deal or even going forward. So that's all I have for you. If you enjoyed the content, go ahead and like and subscribe, and then go ahead and comment below if you've been able to make it all the way into the end with LLF. I know it's random, it's just a license plate that I see over to my right. I appreciate you all so much. I will see you next time.